are on this journey of life, and I like to describe it as circular. Like we're always moving up, although sometimes we feel like we're taking like 10 steps down. So, for example, if you experienced a trauma in your past as a child and you were working with me and we worked through it and you released all this stuff out, and then a month later, this memory is coming up again, you're having emotions again, or something triggered you and it's bringing up these memories, it's because you are ready for your next level. You're ready to go deeper. That's the whole journey: learning, growing, expanding, and evolving. That's how we evolve, through our emotions, through feeling them, releasing them, and anchoring into who we are and what we want in our life. And so, yes, it will come back. I mean, I've had things that have circled around many times, but the amazing thing is now when it comes around, I am so much more self-aware. I am not scared to go there. I go into it, and in 3 to 5 minutes, it's gone. I'm back home to myself. I'm like, yes, let's do this. It's on, right? We keep moving.
Right.
I will say the more that you do it and practice it, the easier it gets, though.
Yeah.
Like if you consistently show up for yourself, and some days you might need to show up more for yourself emotionally. Some days you might need to show up more for yourself physically, spiritually. That's why you have to have such an amazing connection with you, relationship with you. I see me, right? The
Yeah.
title of this. So then you know what you need. The outside world is not going to tell you what you need. You have to answer that question for yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, this is powerful. Hi everyone, welcome to Heart Talk, coming to you live from Kota Kinabalu in Sabah in Malaysia. From whichever part of the world you're in, thank you for joining us. I love your company. I see me. Say yes to you. Hello stranger, is the new 50 Shades of Me. How to gain clarity in your life, take action, and thrive gives every moment a new opportunity to say yes to you and put your own well-being first. Studies have shown that if you want to live your best life yet and thrive, you have to show up for yourself. So you should be your own top priority. So this morning here in Malaysia, and my guest is probably evening at about 9 p.m. in the evening. The question that we both have for you is, are you ready to put yourself first? The whole you and nothing but you. Because, it's important to ready yourself to lead. Because if you don't lead from your own self, you can't lead others. And this is according to what your heart's desire to be. So let's welcome my guest today. Her name is Tina Ridge, and let's find out more about how to live your own heaven on earth. So welcome, Tina. Come and join us at Heart Talk.
Hello. Thank you, Charles.
Hey, nice. Well, listen, it's wonderful to have you as our guest here on Heart Talk. Thank you for giving us your time. There's so much to gather from you and learn from you. And I want to just, congratulate you on what you're doing. I think lives are being changed, and I think this is the right time when the world is going through so much of challenge and turmoil. It's important for us to know ourselves first and to show up for ourselves. Showing up for oneself is spot on, and you've made the right diagnosis. The question is, how do we get the treatment right? So tell us, and how did this start for you? That it became your real mantra, your path that you're doing
Yes.
right now. So talk to us. How did this end up?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. And I would love to share pieces of my story because I know when we share our stories, it inspires others. So I lived with anxiety, deep anxiety and depression for years. I would live with daily panic attacks, and I was just in this battle with myself of, I checked off all the boxes. I graduated from high school, I graduated from college, had babies, had a good marriage, like a great family, but I was not fulfilled within me. And so I was searching the outside as you were talking, everything outside of us to fulfill myself. And it wasn't happening. And so in 2018, I was in a car wreck that was a near death experience. I was hit by a dump truck, extremely traumatic in the moment, thought I was dying. And I walked away with minor physical injuries, but my mental and emotional state were just so much was coming up that I had pushed down for years. All the emotions, all the traumas and things that I had went through at a younger age, I had pushed down in my body, and they were like bubbling up is the way that I like to call it. And I could no longer push them down. And so I had to get 100% honest with myself and say, it's time. You have to look at this stuff. You have to put yourself first. So that started my own journey of doing the inner work, going within to release these emotions. I call it stuck energy because we have energy systems through our body. And so it was helping myself remove those stuck emotions, those stuck thoughts that were no longer serving me, that were trying to protect me based on things that had happened in my past.
Okay.
So as I started to do this for myself and really start showing up and processing this stuff and not letting it have power over me anymore, I started to realize I'm here to help other people do this too. And as I continued my journey, I started to understand that I'm an empath, which means that I can feel other people's pain, emotions, thoughts, which at the time was so overwhelming because I didn't know how to use it as a gift.
Okay.
So once I processed out my own stuff, I could start seeing it as a gift and using it to help other people.
Okay. Well, I mean, amazing. It's there's a lot to unpack there, and
Yes.
and I want to go first to that car wreck,
Mhm.
because you are in a situation where, how old were you when that happened?
Let's see. I was 30, 36.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you were old enough to kind of like assess the situation, okay, and able to take a hold of yourself and say, look, what's happened? All right. I've been to a car wreck myself, and I was coming back from work, went down a 40-foot ravine, and the whole car was totally smashed. Only thing left
Mm,
was my car seat, and
mm,
I climbed out of it, and had a hematoma. And when I went back to see whether the car was okay, the guy looked at me and thought you were looking at a ghost, because he couldn't believe that anyone could have survived that car wreck. But
mm-hmm.
the thing that's different is that you were able to assess and take a hold of yourself and tell yourself what on earth has happened. You see, I
Yes.
didn't. And I think there are many like me who have no resources, no company around, no one around to turn to try and, like, something traumatic has happened, and those memories are still etched. I know exactly where it went. I know exactly which ravine it was, and so that started off a journey for yourself, because there are so many things that happen in life. So deciding to show up, I want to take you through that because there's a lot to unpack in you. Because today you're a self leadership guide, and you're
Yes.
guiding people, and the person who can guide is like the Sherpas that take you up Mount Everest. They know
Mhm.
the way up, and they are top class guides until they reach the peak. So you have been through a process, and now you're taking people along that path to make sure they get to the
Yes.
other side and they see the other side of the mountain. So go back to that if you don't mind. Take us back to that time. So where did you source out the energy to try and put the pieces together? I mean, who did you turn to at that moment?
Yeah, so I contacted my doctor and
Yeah.
said, I need to see you. I was terrified to drive. Um, I didn't want to get out of bed. Like I was a mess. But I had enough strength within me to know that I needed to at least meet up with my doctor. So I did. And he referred me to a therapist that was amazing. And she was trained in the grief recovery method, which is any viewer that's watching it, if you have not heard of it, you can Google it. There's a book, The Grief Recovery Method. You can check that out. It's amazing. And it really started me on my journey of learning that it's okay to feel our emotions. And it's okay when we have these thoughts that come into our mind, it's okay to acknowledge them and to set with them. It doesn't make you a bad person if you have anger coming up or if you have these thoughts that are angry thoughts. It's part of being human. And I had so much guilt and shame around some of these things because of experiences that I had in the past and had some anger around that. And I would judge myself for having the anger or having these angry thoughts. And so she took me through this process, and it was actually anyone can go and get certified for this. You don't have to be a therapist. You don't have to have trained in therapy to use this method to help other people. So that was kind of my first step. And I went and got trained and certified in that. And I think it's so important for people to understand that grief is not just death and divorce. Yes, those are huge grieving moments in life, but anything from moving, I mean, if you think about a child moving from one school to another, being bullied, all of these things are traumatic and the things that we push down in our body and don't allow ourselves to feel. So it's like when we're young, we put this backpack on, and throughout life, every time we go through something and we don't allow ourselves to feel the emotion completely and fully and release it from our body, we put a rock in that backpack. So over the years, so 36 years, I was just putting those rocks in the backpack, right? So at that point before my wreck, I'm like leaning over because it's so full. And when I had that wreck, it was like all those rocks just came falling out and they were right in front of me. I couldn't move forward. I could not move forward until I picked each one of them up, addressed what was there, felt it, released it, and had freedom around it.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there because,
Mm-hmm.
if you're thinking of doing a journey or a walk with a backpack, you got a partner, and that's me. Because because if you see the size of my backpack, I had no one to tell me to take off those rocks, and so I carried those rocks with me for years until I ended up with
Yes.
open heart surgery. So what you are saying is pointed. It's the right time. So when you take out those rocks, how did you address it? I mean, you were fortunate to get someone to come in and help you. And
Yes.
I want to hear, because I just had a note here. What is the name of that method again?
Grief
Grief.
recovery method. Grief.
Grief
Uh-huh.
recovery method. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is something very important because we are reaching a time now where resilience, once it is built up, to take the courage within to sort out these backpack, rocks we come out winners. And that's the reason why you're so important for you to say, show up. Because the more we show up, the more we recognize those big rocks in front of us. And they are there, whether you like it or not. They happen every day. You pick up new rocks, and even though they are pebbles, but they end up becoming rocks later on.
Yes. Yes. And if you're not looking at them, you're stuffing them down in your backpack or in your body, however you want to look at it. And it's limiting you in your life. You're not connected to your creativity when you have all of this stuck in your body. So when something happens in your life, you automatically go to fight or flight, or, the problem. You're focused on the problem, versus when you clear these things out and you're moving in what I call clean energy. If something comes your way, you're like, okay, let's take a moment. Let's look at it. What are some solutions? You connect with your creativity and not the fear-based, anxiety-based problem that the world kind of, materializes. I don't know what the right word is here, but like puts it in our face, right? That there's so many problems and that life is hard, and the struggle and the lack and the sacrifice, right? Like that's always in our face. So it takes time to break yourself away from that mindset and those perspectives and shift to the perspective of, I am creative. I can find a solution to anything that comes my way. Yes, I might have some emotions come up, but I'm not going to give it my power. I'm going to feel it, release it, come back home to myself, be grounded and set in peace so I can gain clarity and then take action.
Wow, listen.
And thrive.
Listen, Dr. Tina Ridge.
Not officially, but I like the ring to that.
Yeah, and you own it. Let me tell you that. Beautifully said, and I love you for that, because it has taken so much of pain in your own life to be able to craft this out. I'm a big believer. I came up with this MindFLOW Ergonomics because there are so many of us who are really intellectuals, outstanding intellectuals in our life. But there's another end game, and that is creative geniuses. And the word that you really brought into this whole conversation is creativity. If we are not creating a new day for us, we are a new creation in Christ. And so if we do not continue that kind of mindset of mind flowing, creating something new, we'll be living in the past. And I love you for that. Now, I want to just piece this together, because, man, I just wish I was your neighbor, because
just fly on over.
I will, and set base in there, and we can have a camp. But this is important. Somebody listening in is feeling you and wants to know what to do. So you talk about this energy, okay, that has sucked in our lives, and then we want to bring it out. I mean, how do you go into the specifics? Because I'm talking about design engineering process where we can rewire our brains, rewire our minds. I'm learning all this. You know something, Tina? I didn't know this 2 years ago. All I knew was to do boob jobs and tummy tucks and get them out of my door looking good, not realizing that I needed that help. And when I started this mindfulness journey, I realized, where the hell has my mind been all this time? In hell. Because it's been turmoil, and I've got no company around here to kind of like knock trades with or talk to you. Someone like you, having lunch and having tea. So you're such a light bulb, and you make sure those lights don't go off, because you got to need the energy to have it overnight too. So talk to us. How? Be specific now, practical.
Yes.
I've got a big block in back of me, and it's holding me back, be it my emotions, be it anger, be it frustration, this whole thing sucks you out. How does one handle that? When you say recognize it and then let it go, is that correct?
Yeah, let me be very specific,
Please.
because especially in the States, I've only lived in the US my entire life, so I can't speak for other parts of the world, but I feel like there's commonalities in this. We're taught as children that it's not okay to feel. If a child starts crying, oh, it's okay, don't cry, it'll be okay. We all do it well-meaning. But what we're teaching our children is that don't cry, right? Don't have emotion. If they experience something and they're angry, don't get angry. Don't be angry. God doesn't want you to be angry. Like there's so many times when we're just doing our best as parents or teachers or mentors, but we're really doing our children a disservice because we're not telling them or teaching them it's okay to feel your emotions. So I want to say that point first. It is totally okay to feel your emotions. What most people do, if you start crying, is you'll start crying, and then right about here, you'll stop yourself. Oh, I'm not going to give in to this. No, not today. And though you stop right here, and that stays in your body, versus going all the way through the circle and releasing it. So when I talk about feeling your emotions, I literally mean feeling the sensations in your body. Our bodies are always talking to us. So if you ever have been fearful and you feel a lump in your throat, or that feeling in your gut where you're just fearful of something, right? That's your body saying there's more here. There's more for you to set with and release it. So some practical things that you can start doing is, I recommend at least once a day in the morning, you can start there, get a journal and do a conscious stream of journaling. Just whatever thoughts are coming to your mind. It doesn't matter how outlandish they are. They're not always going to be logical. They're not always going to be rational. And that is okay, because it's coming from your subconscious, which holds all of your patterns, all of your traumas, and is what keeps you stuck and limited in your life.
Right.
So if you give yourself that time to journal out all the thoughts, when you have those moments of I can't focus on anything because my brain is just going here and here and here and here, get it out on paper, journal it out. And then what I do, and I use all these tools with my clients, is that I use a tapping technique. It's called the Rapid Relief Technique. You can Google it. It's very similar as far as the tapping points to emotional freedom technique. So you can Google that as well to see the tapping points. But what you do, as an example, you can take what you wrote out in your journal and you can read it and tap while you're reading it. This is a vibration which helps move stuck energy in your body.
Really?
So you're saying all the things while you are tapping, and I'm saying go deep. All the things that your grandmother told you never to say, it's safe to say. I've gone to the depths, and I would never have it any other way. It's living in your body. If you think it, if you feel it, it's limiting you. So you can look up all those things to help you. And that is what I mean when I say process your emotions. You're allowing yourself to feel it, you're speaking it, and it is releasing from your body.
Has this all been, this is evidence-based procedure.
Yes.
I mean, it's
So
therapeutic. I mean, it's not just because, here when someone starts to scream or shout, the hand goes up, the typical Asian way, and they want to hit you, shut up, that kind of thing. But what you're saying is that, okay, so we keep on tapping, right? And what do I say? If I love somebody, I love you. I love you.
Well, don't say what you don't mean. Say what you really mean. Like not
Oh,
mean, but say what you really want to say.
all right.
We all know we love our families, right? But sometimes they can drive, like we have these feelings that they're driving us crazy, right? So we're
Right.
like, oh, why are you doing this right now? Why don't you listen to me? Nobody listens to me. Da
It's
da da
like
da
a
da.
movie, man.
And the more that you do it, you start to understand. It'll connect. And this is where my specialty comes in with my clients. It connects with something from you, your past, your lineage, your ancestral lineage, your DNA, something that you've carried on from somebody that came way before you. And it can go very deep. So that's why it's important to have support in doing this, because we have to be held accountable. I tell my clients what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. It's not my job to coddle you in a session and tell you how amazing you are, though I will, but that's not the point of it. I want you to own and be 100% honest with what is going on with yourself, so we can work through it, process it out. Then you can anchor into, I'm amazing, right? I'm a badass. I am safe. I can go out and do the things that I want to do in my life. That's when you anchor in, after you've released all the stress and the emotion and the overwhelm. That's when you anchor into the stuff and it sticks. If you try to anchor into, I'm a badass, I'm amazing, and you've got all this stuck energy, it's not going to stay.
Right.
You're going to keep going back to that pattern of, I'm not enough. What's wrong with me? I never do enough. All those things. So we're
Oh, this
getting
is
to the root. We're
getting
getting to the root. We're pulling it out,
yeah.
releasing it, and then coming back home to ourselves, who we really are. Amazing. We're amazing. We're wonderful. We can do anything, right?
No, this is powerful. It's like one of my guests, Dr. Leela Davis. She talks about this whole thing about pulling out weeds and planting flowers. And the whole correlation is that I mean we were all born beautiful. It's just that we have picked up all sorts of stuff along the way, and if we don't recognize that these are limiting what we are going to be, constraints into our life of creativity. You're powerful when you say that. So this tapping technique, we have a spa here, and when they come in here and the girls give them a nice facial massage, they feel so relaxed. But that's not good enough. That's very superficial. What you are saying is that take out all the stuff that's in the 95% subconscious mind and what you don't want, and bring it into the conscious mind, which is there, and let that stuff go and put in some, is that
Yes.
right? And put in some,
Yes.
will the
And then
stuff
you
come back
anchor.
tomorrow?
Well, that's the thing. So we are on this journey of life, and I like to describe it as circular. Like we're always moving up, although sometimes we feel like we're taking like 10 steps down. So, for example, if you experienced a trauma in your past as a child and you were working with me and we worked through it and you released all this stuff out, and then a month later, this memory is coming up again, you're having emotions again, or something triggered you and it's bringing up these memories, it's because you are ready for your next level. You're ready to go deeper. That's the whole journey: learning, growing, expanding, and evolving. That's how we evolve, through our emotions, through feeling them, releasing them, and anchoring into who we are and what we want in our life. And so, yes, it will come back. I mean, I've had things that have circled around many times, but the amazing thing is, now when it comes around, I am so much more self-aware. I am not scared to go there. I go into it, and in 3 to 5 minutes, it's gone. I'm back home to myself. I'm like, yes, let's do this. It's on, right? We keep moving,
Right, right.
you
I mean,
know?
this is beautiful. I think of this whole concept of mindfulness, that to be mindful that there's power in the present moment, just being aware. And it's about coming back home. Because if you can't come back to a home within you, then you're forever wandering. You'll become a restless wanderer. And you will never find that peace that we all want, the peace that passes all understanding. And I think, do you have a twin sister? So maybe
I
she.
don't.
So
I have an older sister that looks a lot like me, but
okay,
she's
then
not a twin.
tell her to come and stay here. She better come and stay here with us. But no, this is refreshing. I mean, this is serious because I've been through so much myself. 40 years working place, and now by doing these guests on my podcast, Heart Talk, it's been so therapeutic for myself because my guests are the ones who are actually feeding me to a better place. And I think this is important for all those listening in. Now, how much of this correlates? Let's flip the coin around now to this whole concept of self-worth. Now, a lot of people come into this whole program with you, but they have actually lost that whole understanding of self-worth. That we are worthy to be going into a deeper plane, even though it's uncomfortable and may be painful, but there's a greater worthiness waiting for us to feed on. Talk to us about the importance of self. Where did you find that there was this part of you that was so worthy to be alive? I mean, just to live is a gift.
Yeah. I mean, it's our birthright, right? Like we are here to be abundant and we are here to actually enjoy our lives.
There you go.
And, for me, it was definitely this work that brought me back to my true essence, my soul. Our soul is unconditional love and trust, and our human is, emotional and has all these things that we experience in the physical realm. And I think, for me, it was this work that brought me back to, we're all more than worthy. We all have this beautiful divine energy that runs through us that gets stuck from time to time, but we all have it. We just have to learn how to connect to it so we can feel worthy and confident and strong in who we are and what we're here to do, whatever that is for you as an individual, right? Like we're all different in that way, but we're all the same in that we all have this beautiful connection. We're the ones that are blocking that connection. And
Absolutely.
how do we gain that connection back? We do the work, we come back home to ourselves, we honor how our body's feeling, and we move our body. We're exercise and watch what we eat and don't feed our bodies things that don't agree with our bodies. And something that I think is important to say here is that I had a lot of people telling me eat all the fruits and vegetables, like eat all this, eat all that. There are some fruits and vegetables that my body does not react well with.
Yes.
So I just want to say to those that are watching, find the healthy foods that your body does well with, that gives you energy, that makes you want to thrive in your life. Because that was part of my struggle too, like trying to figure out for me. And we all know we should stay away from processed foods and sugar, but that piece did trip me up because it was like, well, I'm eating all the healthy foods, but I'm still having these issues because some of those healthy foods did not agree with my body. It's not a good match for who I am. So you have to, that's why it's so important to go inward. How does this feel for me? How does this food feel in my body? How is this emotion feeling in my body? How is this workout feeling for me? Like, that's the freedom. That's the freedom you're looking for. It's here. It's in you.
Powerful, powerful. A lot of what you're saying, I find that when it comes to relationships, and you are now processing it yourself, you're feeling for life, And a lot of people, there's so much of divorces going on. There's so much of families breaking up because the other person can't be in the same realm of, forgiveness and letting go. It's a tough call actually to be alive. It's not a happy duffy whoopee kind of thing. You really got to work. Like you say, it's self work.
Yeah,
And
and I will say the more that you do it and practice it, the easier it gets though.
yeah,
Like if you consistently show up for yourself, and some days you might need to show up more for yourself emotionally. Some days you might need to show up more for yourself physically, spiritually. That's why you have to have such an amazing connection with you, relationship with you. I see me, right? The
yeah,
title of this. So then you know what you need. The outside world is not going to tell you what you need. You have to answer that question for yourself.
absolutely. I mean, this is powerful because I was coming to this whole concept of finding your self reliance. I mean, to be resilient today in today's world needs a lot of courage and strength. And what you are saying is that all this gives space. You have to make space for all this to happen so that some new things can grow, because at the end of the day, if we are not growing, then it's a downfall. And I love this whole concept of between a stimulus and a response is the space. Viktor Frankl
Yes.
said this, and in that space is our power to choose. So,
Mhm.
how has this been for you? How did you show up for yourself today? What did you do? What did you find that
So
you needed? Oh, today I don't feel this. And how did you handle it to show up?
yeah, so when I woke up this morning, I felt great. Like I didn't feel like I needed to take extra time for, to process any emotions. Sometimes when I wake up, if I'm feeling like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed, then I know that there's something there that I need to process. It's all about the awareness. And so when I got up, I felt great, got my protein shake, drank that, and just got on with my day. Like I really didn't, today was my off day for training with my physical fitness. And so I didn't do any training today as far as workout. So, taking days off is important too. It all
Jives
mixes
in.
together. Yes, like and you have to figure out what works for you and
Right.
show up in ways that work for you. I have a personal trainer because I had two injuries over the summer. I broke my foot, and then I had another muscle strain go on, and it was because I was pushing myself too fast, too hard. And I had that aha moment of like, you need somebody to help support you to where you're not pushing yourself, but you are challenging yourself. And so I knew that I needed to invest in a coach and a trainer. So I did that. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. Where do you need support right now? Do you need to hire somebody to help you in a certain area? Are you feeling like you're doing really good as far as your eating, but you're falling behind on your workout or moving your body? And find things that you enjoy doing as far as your workout. Like dancing or something that gets your heart pumping but that you can enjoy. So that's what I mean by like being so foundationally connected with yourself that pretty quickly when you need support in an area.
Now
Does that
this
make
is,
sense?
oh yeah, this makes a whole lot of sense, because when you talk
Yeah.
about showing up, the whole of you, all of you, we live compartmentalized lives, and what we want is an integrated life where the whole of us shows up, every aspect of it.
Yes.
So you talked about emotional, you talked about mental, physical, spiritual. I mean, this is the end game. At the end of the day, you want to be a winner. And I think this is telling, because foundational happiness. I talk about loving your mitochondria. because you find that your whole gifting of loving life affects the cellular level. You can feel as if your
Yes.
cells are kind of like doing the foxtrot, or the jive or the cha-cha-cha.
I love it. Yes.
I because I'm a musician and I play the guitar, I play the piano, I busk here, I do a busking and all that. And,
Wow.
and I was telling these, they've got these little beans, and I can imagine them kind of like skipping and all that because they are the powerhouses. And then when they go dry, we go dry. See, I call them the ATM machines because if there's no money in them, there's no energy. So,
Yes.
so I was telling someone the other day, if you want to name your daughter, call her mitochondria instead of Alexandria. And
It's
you'll
so
always be.
true.
It's so true. I love you for this. I mean, you bring a fresh insight because now, before we close, because we've just got about 5 minutes more, can you just go
Yeah.
into this tapping technique that you do in case people want to sign up or call you or want to do that? Can you just take us through that exactly what it does
Yes.
and
Yes. Yes.
and what is the mechanics behind it and what is the happening on the cellular level in the neuronal level? What's going on down there?
Yeah. So, okay. So I talked about we have energy that flows through our body. We have many different energy systems throughout our body. We have the aura around us, and we have these energy systems. And that's where our emotions and thoughts that don't serve us get blocked. And these points are part of the meridian system, the meridian energy system.
Are these are,
So,
are these acupuncture points?
yes.
All right.
Yes. Yeah. And like I said, if you Google emotional freedom technique tapping points, you'll find like images, but I can show you, like,
Sure.
it's right here above your eyebrow, the side of your eye, under your eye, between your nose and your mouth, under your chin. And then your collarbone, like right where that bone sticks out, there's a little soft spot
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
And then right here, like your rib cage, if you're a
Oh,
female,
yeah.
it's like your bra line,
All right.
and then the top of your head. And while you're doing this, you're saying all the things. So if you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, oh, you stupid idiot, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that? You're so unsafe. What's wrong with you? You're such an asshole. Like, why would you do that? You're so stupid, right? You're saying what your brain is telling you, right?
Right.
And you're triggered by that person cutting you off because there's something from something that you've been through,
It's
or
wide
maybe you've,
up.
right, something that has maybe even been passed on through your DNA, ancestral lineage, all the things that's causing you to be triggered to be so angry at this person. Because if you don't have that response, typically, if that doesn't trigger me, it just means like I'm probably going to look at that person and say, "Oh, wow, they're in a hurry. They must be, late for an appointment or having a bad day." I'm not on that, "Oh, what's wrong with you? You're an idiot," right? So that's just a quick example and how you can start using this in your day to day when you get triggered. And when I say triggered, I mean you have an emotional response to something that happens in your life.
So you say it while you're doing it. You say the words that
Yes,
you think you're going to say. Is that right?
that is correct.
So when my staff annoy me, which they do every day, so
Go in the go. Oh, and this is another important thing. Go in a private place.
oh, I see, not in front of them. I thought you, I thought I'd tell them, come and stand here. Why did you do that?
Go to a closet
Uh-huh.
and or your office
Uh-huh.
and shut the door and then say all the things.
Okay, okay, okay.
And what happens when you do this is you will do it for a minute, a couple of minutes, depending on how long you've done the practice. And you will eventually come to something. You'll hit on something. like, oh my gosh, why did this happen to me? Bad things always happen to me. And then it'll take you probably to something that has happened in your childhood or a memory that you have. And then that'll bring up more emotions, more anger, maybe rage or sadness, right? And so for people that aren't used to feeling their emotions, they're terrified to do this because they're so scared to go there. They think that they're never going to come back out of it, which
Right.
is totally the opposite.
Right.
Totally the opposite. And there are also studies for emotional freedom technique. If you Google that, all around how it's helped with anxiety and depression and all the things. So there's studies around it, and it's the
Okay.
same tapping. So yeah, so it's getting that out of your body. You're no longer giving your power away to the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
You're not. Yeah.
facing it
Yeah.
and you're releasing it.
Wow.
Was that
This is.
helpful?
Oh yeah. This is beautiful.
Uh,
This is powerful. Now I know what to do after this. So
yes. And let me know how it goes.
it
And
is.
also, when you do this, if you decide to practice it, make sure you're drinking a lot of water,
Okay.
and fresh fruit on an empty stomach can help, because as you're releasing, if you're serious about it, you're going to get tired at first. You're going to you're going to feel dehydrated. You might have a lot of bodily functions being released because your body is like, finally, like, get this out. Like, right? Like you're finally showing up for me. We can actually release this and move forward and not be limited by it.
So how long do you stay in that position when you're going through all this, and this whole thing is
Until
going
you feel,
until you
yeah, and
feel?
you keep doing it until you feel like you've gotten emotions out, which usually, and I don't know, if you've ever had a really big good cry and then you kind of get to this place where you're like, you like get to that freedom, that release of like, I feel better. Like then
Right.
you know that you've gotten out what has been weighing you down,
This
and you
this
can
thing.
come back.
Sorry. Come back. Come back. Yeah.
You can
Finish.
come back home to yourself and ground in after.
Wow.
Do a meditation, just sit with yourself and feel your heartbeat. Sometimes I tell my clients to just kind of stroke your body, connect with your human, tell yourself all the affirmations. I am wonderful, I'm amazing, I'm a badass, I can do this, I am safe, I am protected, I am loved, I am love, right? All the things that are the truth of us.
This is beautiful. Listen, if you want to move here to Kota Kinabalu, you're welcome to come and stay here anytime. So,
Thank you.
and okay, now just while we wind up very quickly, so how do you match this with breathing? Because now they are talking about, really take deep breaths, get that oxygen into you in the mornings. They've got this. You got to listen to this Professor Selena Bartlett, and they're coming up with this 10 seconds kind of thing, breakthrough, just for 10 seconds, of how breathing comes in. So while you're tapping and all that, after that, take some nice deep breath. Is that something also that we can play in?
Yes, absolutely. When you're done and you feel that sense of, okay, take your deep breaths. I usually say at least 3.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, do, like I was saying, come to your body, do a meditation, do your affirmations, and then you're grounded in. I love to do meditations with my clients where I ground them into the earth and the beautiful divine light, bringing it together. That's our highest and truest self. And that shows when we're walking in our humanness and we're walking in our divinity and it's integrated, we are unstoppable.
Yeah, this is what happens in that space, because if we create a space for God to be in the present, eternally present all the time, that connection is cosmic. There's a
Yes.
cosmic chemistry going on there, and nobody can take that away and separate it. Well, listen, you have given this morning here, it's about going to be 10 o'clock, and you've given us the energy for me to go and get my two staff into the room, and, and I will tap.
No, this is you work. This is you work.
Yeah, and so listen, Tina, this has been serious, even though it's been a great fun to talk to you. But this is serious business, because a lot of us are, the biggest epidemic that I feel going across the world, like a very silent epidemic, is what is called inflammation. And all these processes that we are facing and going through in our bodies is inflammation. The body is on fire. The root word for inflammation is flame. Flame is fire. And what you are doing is anti-inflammatory, cutting down the fire, putting out, mopping it out, so that the damage it does is far less. And the beautiful cells can survive and breathe and do their work. And I think this is the key to longevity, because the lifespan becomes longer when you're living the right life. And I think you're right on the dot, and we want to love you for that. Well, listen, on that note, we're going to have you again, and this time we will talk about heaven on earth, because it's a gift to be alive. Our life is what we do with our life is our gift to God. Life is a gift, and I think what you have done is given us a very interesting kind of like a future escape to all the hassle that's going on by showing up. So thank you so much. Thank you, Tina. Listen, on behalf of
Thank you.
Mary and Heidi and all that here, and from all of us here, we want to thank you and bless you, and keep up the good work. There are a few things that come to my mind, at least, and that is self-worth, self-work, self-knowledge, turning up for self. It's not about the narcissistic self. It's about the true self that wants to live that abundant life. And I think one must have that balance. That I remember after my open heart surgery, my first podcast was with a clinical psychologist in Sydney, Claudia Rothas, and she said these words. She said, "Charles, be kind to yourself." And until today, I didn't know what on earth she was talking about. And I think that every moment of the day is a gift. So on that note, we want to thank you.
Thank you.
Have a pleasant night, and just stay with us. And for all those who have just joined us, or halfway through, or you have missed the potpourri of what it is to be alive, to just love life. And we've been with Tina Ridge, who is a self-leadership guide. And we have learned a lot about how to just treasure just being alive. Every breath is a gift. And so from all of us here, thank you for joining us on Heart Talk, and we'll talk soon.